Hello, everybody. Well, there's a trial getting ready to go on now for Daliah Dippalito. Not sure if you all remember her or not. For those of you who do not remember Daliah Dippalito, she was the 26-year-old woman who hired a hitman, actually it was an undercover cop, to kill her husband. She was a newlywed. They'd been newlyweds, I think, for about 6 months or so. Her husband that she married did have money. He bought her, I think, a $20,000 ring, and if she had offed him, she was going to sell that ring. And he said he paid $20,000 for it, but he said it appraised for much more than that. So he had townhouses and penthouses and stuff like that. She somehow, after she married him, was able to talk him into putting everything in her name. And he did it. Love truly is blind. But anyway, so she decided that, I think at the same time she was seeing another man, I believe. And so she had asked around about how to hire a hitman. And somebody had reported her to the cops. And then they decided to go undercover. And so she began talking. So somebody had set her up with this undercover cop. She thought he was a hitman, so she gave him $1,200 as a deposit on a handgun to shoot her husband. And she told him that around 6:30 or 7 o'clock that he always walked the dog across where the lake is, and that their door was always unlocked. So she wanted him to go on there on a particular day and shoot him, make it look like a robbery. So on this particular day that this was supposed to take place, she leaves the house, of course. And when she comes back, there's police all around and stuff. You all might remember seeing this on the news. It's been a while back, though. The police are all around, and she goes walking over to them. And they ask her, is your husband so-and-so? And she says yes. And they said, ma'am, I regret to inform you that your husband has been shot and killed. And she just falls apart, and she's crying and stuff, fake crocodile tears, of course. And so they finally tell her the truth, that she had been set up, that she had made that deal with an undercover cop. She swore no. She didn't know what they was talking about. They take her to the station, and her husband's there. And so she tried to convince her husband then that they were lying on her, that none of this was true. Luckily, the husband had the sense this time not to believe what she was saying. I think he's going to have to take the trial. Take the stand in the trial. She also, during that 6 months before she hired the hitman to kill him, she also tried to poison him with antifreeze. She put antifreeze in his iced tea, and so they say antifreeze, if you're poisoned with iced tea, don't necessarily show up during autopsy. So I don't know about that. But so now she's saying her trial is set to begin, and I think they're picking the jury for it and all that. But she's not going to plead guilty. Her lawyers are trying to say that all this was part of how do I want to put this? In other words, she said that her husband was so loved, he was so obsessed by reality TV that she just wanted to get him his own reality TV show. And she thought she could go about doing that, and it'd be in the news, and her husband would have a reality TV show. How many of you out there is buying that? Raise your hand. I didn't think so. Anyway, if that's what she was doing, then it would stand to reason when the cops said, is your husband so-and-so? Well, ma'am, I regret to inform you that your husband has been murdered. She would have been screaming, no, it wasn't supposed to happen this way. He's not supposed to be dead. But she didn't. She cried just like it was all real and everything else. So, yeah, I think she'll fry for this. I really think she will. And like Joe was saying, why would she even have to kill him? She already convinced him to put everything in her name. All she had to do was leave him. Divorce him? And who's gonna... I mean, I don't understand this. If she was asking around for a hitman, who the hell do you ask? Maybe you should go on Craigslist. I'm sure you can probably find a couple of them on there. They have everything else on Craigslist. You got... now you got 2 Craigslist killers out there, so you know... They're in the Craigslist pages for sure. Anyway, so that's one trial that I want to be watching. I know Casey Anthony's trial comes up soon, and hearing about Casey Anthony trial is like hearing about the royal wedding. I am so sick of that and so ready to get it over with. Somehow, there's people on both sides of the fence. Some people say she'll get off, and some people say she won't. She did it. There's no doubt in my mind she did it. But it's just going to be proven that she did it. Everybody, sort of like the OJ murder case. Everybody knew he did it, but they just couldn't prove it. And so that's how it's going to go down for Casey Anthony. And people just make me sick to death when they talk shit about George and Cindy Anthony. Well, look at them taking up for her. They know she killed that baby. Of course they're going to take up for her. That's their daughter. That's their daughter regardless of what she's done. And people don't look at it like that. People tend to think that George and Cindy Anthony should look at Casey Anthony like we do. You know, and it just don't happen that way. You know, if one of my kids murdered somebody, you know, I'm not going to look at them like the rest of the world would look at them. I'm still going to look at them with love. I still love them, you know. They're my babies. People just don't understand that. And speaking of babies, they had a thing on Facebook from, I think, either HLN News, I think. Anyway, somebody was conducting a poll, I think in Missouri somewhere, at this workplace. Women can bring their newborn babies to work up until the babies are 6 months old. And they say that way the woman doesn't have to pay for child care, and it's bonding time with the baby. And they wanted your views on that. And a lot of people wrote in and said, well, that's perfect. You know, it'll save money on child care. One woman even said that she wouldn't want to miss that time of watching her baby grow. Well, after the 6 months is up, that child's got to go into daycare. So to me, I think it's worse to have your baby at work, because at the end of that 6 months, that baby is used to going to work with you. Now, that's going to cause anxiety, separation anxiety, and the baby's going to cry, and then you're going to be at work worried about your baby crying because your baby misses you and you miss your baby, and then you're not going to be able to concentrate on your work. Plus, if you got your baby at work, what happens when the baby needs to be fed, needs to be changed, wants to be rocked? How are you doing your job? So I say no. I say babies should not be allowed in the workplace. Absolutely not. Some of the women in there leaving their comments were saying, well, we did that at my office once and nobody complained. Well, they're not going to complain to your face, fool. But you better believe they're going to say it behind your back. But anyway, I say no to that. And then a lot of people that left comments and said no, they would get these nasty comments from people saying, well, you must not have children. It don't have anything to do with children. I have children, but I still say no. No. There's a time and a place for everything. And anyway, I think that's all I got to talk about today. I'm looking through my notes here. I think that's about it. Anyway, I am going to come back and talk some more about Daliah Dippalito and when her trial gets started, because I think that one's going to be pretty interesting to watch. And so, anyway, until next time, bye-bye.